well, I think what I want to do before that, because we're going to wait for Gabriel and whoever else wants to join to see this. There are just a few issues that I see with molding. So I think what I'm going to do is just open this one. I just want to hide one or two bits and pieces. I think that's good enough. All right, so yeah, no, there are one or two things I need to hide or suppress for now. Okay, good. All right, so what a few of you are doing is this would be a molding, right? And if we took a section view through it, let's go normal to. Okay, so I don't know if you can notice, you might not be able to, but there is a taper in this. So some of you are not putting your tapers in. You have to put tapers in. The way that molding works is whatever's in this bottom part here, so these faces that I'm going to mark now, that would be part of what's called the male part of the mold, right? So you can picture that the mold would come along where my cursor is. It would go up like that. It would go down, around, and then back out. And then the female part would be these edges in section with a shared sort of flat part, and that would be the top part. And you have to be able to take the female part out that way and the male part out this way. And for that, you need a taper, because if you don't have a taper, the walls will stick to the mold and you won't get it out. And then you've got a wasted mold. So you have to have tapers. And then a few of you are also doing things like this. You've got your mold and you're putting a fillet on that edge. So let's go like this, 0.5. That causes a problem in that, so just for those who've done this sort of thing, if you put a fillet on this edge, which is supposed to be the mating edge. Hi, Ray. You want to say something? No, that's old. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. Okay. If you put a fillet on this edge, which is the mating edge of the mold, that means that you're going to have to put the what do you call it? The parting line between the two molds, whatever the height is of this fillet up, you're going to have to put the parting line over here instead of down there, because that piece now needs to demold. So I think, who was it that had that? It might have been Hamza. Anyways, you can't do that, right? Or you can do that, but it's creating problems. Why don't I hop over? I think that's going to be a good idea. So let me just see whose work that was. Goodness gracious me. All right, so I think, let's just see. I hope you don't mind, whoever's work this is. I think this one was okay. Whose was this? 13. Yes, no, 13. Are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay. 13, I hope you don't mind. You're not the only one. By doing what you've done here, you've actually dropped the split line, the height of this fillet. So you're putting the split line at that point instead of where it should be, which is much higher. So if I delete, if I suppress yours, that's what it should look like, right? Edit that feature. So you've got all these loops. You have to take one of them off. Not sure which one it is. Yeah. Okay. So this is well, there's quite a few things wrong with this. One, you must put the fillets in first. So go boss extrude. The shell must come last. Guys, you have to do this. Shell must come down to there. All right, and then that thing there, that's going to create an undercut. Do you understand that?
So this was just a basic look of how I wanted to do. So it's not the like actual design. There will be a lot of flows in it.
Yeah, but okay, but
I was trying to get that shape.
okay, but just understand. All right, maybe there's a lot of flaws and things that you can fix up, but just understand, this is like so fundamental. You shouldn't be doing it. That piece there, because just picture that you've got to now get whatever's creating this cavity inside here has to demold or be pulled away from this inside lip. How do you do that?
Then I just used so that I could show the height of the lid. So I probably should have designed it in a way. But inside the container will have slides dividing the different compartments. And then the lid will slide into, and that's the height that it will sit in. So that piece that I made there will not be part of the container.
Okay. All right. Okay. So,
all
right, not just you, so the others as well. So, okay, so you understand what's going on, but you're handing me a file which does this sort of thing, and I'm thinking instant fail. You understand? This is the work you're handing me, so don't hand me the work like this. A way to do that is don't use the boss. Just put in a plane. Just go like this and say, I want a plane. Where is it? I want a plane, and I want it to drop by, what is it, 3 mils or 4 mils or something. Flip the offset, and there you've got a basis for like judging where your other piece will be. That doesn't even need to be a plane. It could actually be a surface. There's nothing wrong whatsoever in going like this, plane to surface. I don't know if I can use that. Sketch on there. So I understand what you're trying to do. I'm just trying to see if I can help you with some tools that might be right. Okay, so there's nothing wrong whatsoever in going planar surface using that. Okay, as long as your surface plane isn't merged, it won't be. Just edit that. Oh, it won't actually do that. Okay, so you can use the plane then as a basis to see where your lid is going to go. Does that make sense, Thurston? And then once you're done with that, you can either delete it or you can just suppress it. It's no longer part of the model. Right. So okay. So that's the one thing. Let's see if I can just go to the top. Right. So what you should be doing here, boss extrude. Got to make sure that has a taper in it. You don't have a taper, so you must have a taper before you do anything else. Before you put any edge fillets or any fillets whatsoever, or shelling or anything, you have to have a taper. I'm telling you this because next week I'm going to deal with this in detail. What I'm going to look for to pass a failure, and if you don't have these things in place, then these are the things that'll pass the failure, not other things. Now, not just having the thing sorted out, or not just having the shape there. I want to see that those principles are in place. Okay, so that now you can put in all the rest of the things that you want, like that edge fillet, and then right at the end you can shell it. So the shell comes last. All right, and then you can put in ribs, bosses, lips, grooves, all the rest of those things. Okay. All right, so I want to hop back across to what I was doing. Okay, so sorry, I just need to go and change this file, which is that one there. I think it's this one. Right, where were we? Okay, so I was going to deal with the simplest way of indicating that you have a living hinge. So, sorry, we have to go back to this one. Put those parts back in. Is it that one? Yes, it is that one. Yeah, okay. So what I've done here is I've created two parts, and I've put in what I think that one half of that living hinge will look like. So you can see it's quite a thin piece. It's got an edge fillet on the one side and another one on the other side. And that's just an indication of what it is that you're doing. You don't have to go and model up the exact hinge. That's quite tricky, and knowing how to do it and knowing what's needed is like way advanced. Like I wouldn't even try that. I'd try and model it, but I'd first go and find out from a toolmaker what he wanted, how he saw it, and then I'd model it from that. So you don't need to know how to do all of that. All you need to do is to be able to represent what's going on here. So I'm going to have to open this one and just quickly get two of these suppressed. Okay, so I've brought these two in, and I've matched them up, sort of. I've broken a whole lot of relationships in doing what I did there. Okay, so these are all faulty. I'm going to, instead of editing them, I'm just going to reestablish this. So, right, so this is an assembly. You can see it's assembly there. That's my main part there, which is fixed. You can see it here, it says float, so it means it's fixed. And then this part can move around. Okay, so the way to indicate this is you first modeled up these two little halves of the hinge. Just match them up. So those two edges. Okay, so that's kind of all right. I can now move this backwards and forwards. I've got another coincident I must get rid of. We'll just suppress for now. Okay, so you can see this thing can move around now. And I'm putting a width constraint on that. And then I can match these up using a parallel if I want to, and then just to get them to line up, and then suppress that. So now you can see that can close and open. Okay, and I can actually reestablish this one just to close it. Mate alignment. There we go. So it's closed. Okay, so that is as much as what I ask from you. It's just that you can show that the two parts fit together. So this is at the moment in assembly, as I say. I think you could combine. Let's see, combine. No, you can't. Okay. So the way I've done this is I've actually got this as two configurations, and okay, so I'd have to re-establish these. I'm not going to do that, but I've got two configurations, one with it open, one with it closed, and that's all you need to show. Is that good enough? Is there anything else that anyone wants to know about that?
Okay. I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
I saw you advised me that it would be better for me to be a live hinge for my part, but I didn't choose a live hinge on purpose.
Okay.
If you look at my part,
I'll go and look at it now. Hold on. I just want to make sure. Okay. So let me go and have a, do you mind if I look at it in front of everyone? Because there might be stuff.
it's okay.
Is that all right?
It's okay.
You can say no, hey? I'll honor that. I won't force you to use yours. So who's this? 13, eh?
Sorry, Paul?
Yeah. Who was I speaking to there? Was that? It was 13, eh?
Yeah, no, that was Hamza.
Hamza.
Oh, it was Hamza. Sorry, Hamza. Sorry. Jeez. Okay, so let's just quickly go. It should be in here. As I was looking at them earlier, so okay, so that's yours. Asbestos components. Right. So which part am I going to look at? The bottom or the top?
I wanted to show you why I chose the other hinge instead of the live hinge. So when this container is opened, I need the back part. So what is the bottom now to serve a purpose as a game board. So you can play like chess or snakes and ladders, whatever on the other side. So I needed to eliminate the gap. So once you open it, the two need to touch.
I see.
And make the bottom facing or the top facing in an open position.
Okay, I wasn't talking about this hinge here, which I'm assuming is what you're talking about. I was talking about this one here.
Okay.
What you
would I be able to mold it as one piece?
Yeah, I mean,
So these are 4 separate hinges that just slot in.
I know how it works. You can see how it works. So they slot in, right? So that means you've got to lift each one of these right out before you can put it open anything. Do you think users are going to want to do that?
Flap open.
Yeah, so how do they flap open if that's not an integral hinge there? Sorry?
It's supposed to be like a plastic hinge.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. I'm saying the way you've designed this, I can see you want to put in an integral hinge, but the way you've designed it, it's not an integral hinge. It's not a living hinge at the moment. You've put it in the open, in the 90-degree position, and you've got an undercut, and you can't do this. So you've got to flatten this whole thing out, and then create a thin part between the two, where the thing will hinge. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So I mean, I can see that's, I've been doing this for all my life, so I can see instantly what you're trying to do. That thin bit there is supposed to be the hinge, isn't it? And then this lid here will flap open. So that'll slot into these slots here, and then it'll open. Yeah. Okay, but you've got to design it. You've got to show it in the moldable position, not in the operating position.
I should make the mold, make the lid like straight, like one flat.
Yeah, because that's how they'd mold it in the mold. They wouldn't. I mean, maybe there's a place where people would mold it at 90 degrees. I can't see why.
No, I just thought I had to do it like that to show how the assembly file.
All right. Okay, now get it. So that's what I'm trying to show you guys is when you do it. So what you would do there, Hamza, is you'd actually make 2 separate parts. What I've done here. Or you could do one part and just put a very thin section in between the two. Does that make sense? So let's just, goodness gracious me. So I may as well just show this to you quickly. Let's just unsuppress. coincident was good. That one we can suppress. That width we want. The parallel we can suppress. So now, so it's this one we want. And that one we want to suppress. Okay, there we go. All right. So you can show it in these two configurations. So let's just put another configuration in like this. All right, so can you see I've got two parts. There's one, and that's two. And I've put the little hinge in between them, an indication of what it might look like. It's obviously won't look like that in real life. But for what you guys are doing, that's fine. It can just be a straight little, a thin section to show that it's a hinge. So that's a 0.2 mil piece.
What would you recommend for the thickness of that live hinge?
Yeah, 0.2 is fine. 0.25, between 0.2 and 0.3 of a millimeter. It's very thin, very thin. Okay, so that's good enough, and then you can just use your configurations. So all you do is, let's just go to, so I started with it like this, and then I just used, I blocked off certain relationships and opened other ones. So in the open one, it shows it in that position. You can use those two configurations in your drawing to show it in the open and the closed position. All right. Is anyone who wants to just see in the 8th row? Seth. Okay. Is anyone who wants to know how to do it the hard way? Is that a yes or a no?
I think that's silence on my kind.
I never know. What is silence?
I think it's better to know all the possible ways.
Okay, let me try and take you through. So I have not managed to get the hard way to work properly. Let's see if I've got it here. All right, this is the best I've got. Okay, I haven't got these things to match up, and I haven't got these parts to become a single body. I have got another example, which is, let's see if I've got it. It's not that one. Sorry, I might just have to find that one quickly. I've been playing with this the whole day to try and see if I can get it to work. Hinge lid box. Goodness. It's, yeah, that should be it. Nope. Okay. Great stuff. All right. So let me take you through it step by step. This is a single part. So if I go to this boss extrude, you'll see that the sketch is actually the two sketches next to each other. So I've drawn two equivalent sized rectangles, so they're 80 by 110 with the gap of 1.5, and then I've used that to create sort of a single body part. So that's one extrusion there, that boss extrude. That's a second extrusion. They've both got tapers on them. Then I've got fillets for the one, large fillets, the edge fillets, and I've got fillets for the other, large fillets, smaller fillets, and then I've actually been able to shell them. All right, and then in between I've built this boss extrude, which at the moment is the wrong size. So that should only be like 3.8, I think. Okay, and then I've made those, I've merged all three of them. So you can see I've merged the result. Okay, so here's the tricky bit. Once you've got all that in place, and there's a better way of doing this as well, but I'm going to have to show you just the worst way for now because I don't have time. You use a command called flex, F-L-E-X. Just type it in. I'll show you where it is if you want to see it. So it is actually, it's under insert, features, and then it's here it is, flex. Okay. the way this command works is you can do all sorts of things. You can twist, you can taper, you can stretch, you can make pretzely objects, whatever you want to do, okay? So we're going to use just the most basic ones. It's going to ask you for an input. What do you want to do? If you choose the feature, it'll always just choose the last feature. So there's not much you can do with that. You have to just choose a feature. And it'll show you straight away that there's a plane on the left-hand side and a plane on the right-hand side, which if you do this freeform, you can pull them, okay, and you can actually make your whole shape flex like that. Right. Not what we want to do, because that's obviously, well, I mean, it might be what you want to do elsewhere, but not in this model. So if you've done something like that, you've pulled it, the way to get it back to where you want it to be is just to type in under this first dialog box 0 degrees, so it's back to where it is. This is a very powerful command, but it's also got lots of things that you have to pay attention to. So the first one is it's got here a little tick box called hard edges. What that means is wherever I put these two planes, it'll keep those edges as hard edges, and everything else, everything between them will bend. So the way to get that to happen is you go to this trim plane one and you click on this little one with a select a vertex, and you select the vertex that you want. So I want just this section here, just this little section here to bend. So I'm going to put that one there, and then go to the next trim plane 2, and that's going to be this red one, and I'm going to select the vertex on this side. So now whatever moves is going to move between those two. So let's put in 90 degrees and just see what happens. So you see it bends the two. So it's bent them the wrong way, but I can change it. I can just put a negative here, and it's got them bending that way. So there's still all sorts of things wrong with it because they're interfering with one another. So I'm going to go back to 0 and then just explain a few of these other bits and pieces. Right, so in this triad box, the triad is whatever it is that you've decided to use. That's that piece there, which you can move up and down, left and right. You can rotate it. Okay, that's just changing how the planes relate to one another. So the way to make sure that those planes always stay where they are is just to 0 these three, or get them into 90, 90, and 270, because that's generally what happens. So just watch with this X1. If I type in 90, it's just going to rotate the plane. Doing it seems not to do it. Let's just try another one. Okay, not actually doing what I thought it would do. All right, so that's basically the way that you make sure that these planes are nice and 90 degree. The thing that you've got to watch out for is where you place this little red line. Okay, you can see I can move this. That's going to determine where your bend starts and finishes. So I've got to try and get it to be as close to this plane as possible. And the way to do it is to actually go into this X, Y, and Z on the left-hand side and type in 0 everything in there, and then move from there to where you want it to be. So you can see that now that I've zeroed it, it's gone to the middle of these two, and it's sitting on this plane here, this top plane. So that's the way you do it, and then you would go back to this degree bit here and say whatever, 180 degrees. I don't know if it'll do it now. Let's see. So it says it'll do it, but you can see that those two parts are now interfering with one another. So that's not good. I think if I say OK, it'll tell me it won't do it. So the reason for that is that let's go back to 0 degrees just to see what you're doing. Reason for that is that this line here is the center of the bend. So you've actually got to put it in a place where these two come apart in a certain way. So I'm going to try. I couldn't get this right. I've put it 1 millimeter above that top plane. And let's try 180 and hit enter. There we go. So now you can see there's a gap between these two. And so it should work. Okay, it says it's not going to work. I can't figure out why it does this. It actually shows it's working and then it won't give it to you. I still haven't figured that out. I figured a way around it though. So that's just showing you the tool. So you guys can play around with that, but